What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome back to rebirthedu.com. I'm your host, Kendrick, aka Also the Great, with the next chapter of the Cashflow Quadrant. Chapter 3, why people choose security over freedom, right? So, with this one right here, we're going to kind of look into exactly why people do the things they do and why you probably have fell into this trap, just like I have, and most of the people that I know, or or most of the people in this country. And you fall into this trap, and you're stuck looking for security because you're scared, primarily because of fear. Your emotions have gotten you in a situation that you can't necessarily get yourself out of. So, but before we look into that, as always, hit like, subscribe, share this with your friends, your family, anybody that you think needs to hear it. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Just crush that thing, man, because I'm out here like every day, like all the time, dropping videos, right, for y'all. Excuse me, I'm getting ready for work right now, so gotta go up there, make some money, because I'm still in that E quadrant, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm still out there, still. But I'm actually in a few of them, so that's pretty cool too, right? And we'll talk about that transition a little bit in this chapter as well too. Okay, so I'm gonna tell y'all a hypothetical story, right? And you're probably gonna relate to it because you probably fall into these categories or this storyline. Better yet, that's probably the better word for this. So most people are generally taught as kids, all right, go get you an education, go get some college in you so you can go get you a job, right? And so a lot of people fall into that path. So they go to school, right? Then they get themselves a little job, start to make a little bit of money, enough to get your own place, right? So you get you a little apartment, you got minimal furniture in that thing, but you out here working because you got to pay for this school loan, you got to pay for this apartment, you got these bills, you get yourself a little car, the whole nine, man. So you're doing your thing. And then somewhere along the way, you meet you a nice little person, whatever you're into. Man, if you're a man, you find your little woman. If you're a woman, you find yourself a little young man or something like that. And now y'all are teaming up, right? Y'all are together. Y'all a little couple. And so for a little while, things are a little bit better, two of y'all with low expenses. Maybe y'all are in the same place. So things are cool, man. You guys saving a little bit of money. You guys take the big leap, buy your own place, right? So you take the money out of your savings. You put it into this house, and now you guys got a big old house now, or maybe it's not that big. Maybe it's a modest house. You got your little house, and you got to furnish it now. I mean, you got this house. You don't want a big empty house, right? Especially, us guys, man. We want our lady to be happy, so we know they like being in comfortable environments. So we spend that money so that way they can decorate this place up and get it all nice, pretty, and comfortable. Because this is your rest haven, right? So we spend a lot of money on that, and then here it comes. Here comes that baby knocking at the door. And so now we got this other expense. We got this other kid we got to take care of, and we're working hard at our jobs. And whether we like the job or don't like the job, you're stuck at this job. You can't leave this job, because you got benefits there. You're still paying off this loan. You got this kid you got to take care of, and you got bills. Your wife is dependent on you. Everything. You can't leave this job, right? So you've fallen into this money trap, and the main thing you value right now is security. In your mind, no matter what happens, I got to keep this job so that way I can take care of my family. And fam, that is admirable. You should take care of your family. That's your job. That's what we're called to task, right? But you'll never, the irony out of this whole thing is you'll never find security there in that category. You're never gonna, your employer's job is not to make you rich at all. Your employer's job is to make sure you get your check for the time that you put in. That's their job. Nothing else. Okay. Yeah, they offer you a 401k for your retirement, but you can't really touch that money. And so that's not necessarily income. Okay. Maybe you have a Roth IRA because somebody told you about that, but you can't touch that either. That money is for your retirement. Okay. And if you're not taking advantage of those things, I recommend you take advantage of those things. That's just on a side note. At minimum, match what your employer is giving you for your 401k. And then at minimum, max out that Roth IRA, $6,000 a year. That's $500 a month. I don't care what you got to do to make it happen, make it happen. Okay? This is free money that your employer is giving you. And this is tax-free dollars that you're going to be getting from your Roth IRA. So by all means, make sure you make that happen. Okay? And so the reason this is a big money trap is because the more money you make as an employer, the more you keep increasing your main expense, which is taxes. The more money you make, the more taxes you are going to pay. That's kind of how that goes. As you enter a different tax bracket, every time you're gonna be paying more in taxes. And before you know it, 30-40% of your money is gone before you see it, right? Especially if you're in the S quadrant, right? Because those tax breaks are not really all that fun. The issue with the S quadrant is, you got to do all this stuff yourself, right? And if you hire somebody, that's going to cut into your profits and all that jazz too, even though you can usually write a lot of that stuff off. So one of the main issues that people have is not understanding the difference between a liability and an asset, right? And we've discussed this before in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But another issue that people don't have is they don't understand what these quadrants really are, okay? And they don't do the research to understand the ins and outs of each quadrant to be successful in each one, okay? So a lot of people, when they get sick of their job and, oh man, I don't want to work here no more. I don't like these people. Or maybe they get laid off, or maybe there's a financial crisis like a recession or something, and these companies start cutting back and they start laying people off, right? Or maybe you've been at your job and you've had a lot of tenure there and they let you go because they can hire somebody else for cheaper to do what you've always done. And they could do it better and they could do it cheaper because technology has changed and made things a little bit more streamlined and easier for people to do. This happens all the time. And so you see a lot of old school cats go out here and they start their new businesses, but they never really took the time to learn how to do a system and operate a system like in the B quadrant. And they never learned how to invest like in the I quadrant, at least not properly, right? To where they get income from it. Because remember, these quadrants are really based on where you're getting your money from. If you're not getting income from the quadrant, you're not in that quadrant, okay? You may be investing money and that money may be sitting there and it may be growing, and that's great. Hey, make your money. And that's great for your retirement. But if you're not getting income to pay your expenses from that quadrant, you're not in that quadrant. Okay, so it's all about that cash flow, baby. So a lot of the E's will move to the S quadrant. Guys, this is the toughest quadrant. It's the hardest one. And no matter what you think you can handle, 9 out of 10 of these fail in their first year. And out of the ones that are successful, 9 out of 10 of those are going to fail after 5 years. Okay. I think I might have did that wrong. 9 out of 10 fail in the first 5 years. And then out of those that remain, they fail within the next 5 years. Now, it's for different reasons. The first 5 years, if you fail in that, it could be due to lack of knowledge. It could be because you burnt out, right? Because you got to do everything yourself. You got to take in all the risk yourself. That means you got to answer the calls. You got to deal with the customers. You got to handle the product. You got to fight off the tax man. You got to handle the inspectors. You got to take care of the insurance. You got all of this, right? And the more success you get in that category, the more time you have to spend in that category. Make no mistake about this. If you leave your boss as an E, you're going to gain thousands of more bosses because your customer is your boss. That's who your boss is. Your customer and the market. You're not working for yourself, fam. Don't ever think in your life you're going to be working for yourself ever. It doesn't work this way. That's the whole point of it, is service, right? As an employee, somebody has a system that you're working for and you're taking care of employees there, and you got 1 or 2 people that you need to answer to. As an S, you are the system, okay? You're the whole system, and you operate to take care of the customer at every capacity, and you work for them. You don't work for yourself like you think you do. You work for them, and if they call you, your butt better answer. That's real talk. I'm just giving it to you real, okay? Here's the thing, guys. To be a successful S, you have to be a certain type of person. And if you're not this type of person, maybe you can learn to be, but you're probably never going to be, okay? Hustlers, okay? People that just naturally hustle, can't sit down, and they grind all the time, you got a good chance of being an S. If you don't like waking up in the morning, if you're not a morning person, you don't like waking up, you like chilling, you like your free time, you like enjoying hanging out with your friends and family, you like having days off. If you feel like this is important to your life, right, and you get easily burned out and you need a nap in the middle of the day, I'm not knocking y'all for any of this. But if you're the type of person that is like this, you are not an S, and you will not be successful in this category. This is a reality check, okay? Because the statistics say that the chances of you doing this are extremely low. And if you don't have the characteristics of that type person, I guarantee that you will fall into that 90% of people that fail. And then the tough part about that is you probably have some debt you got to take care of. If you wasn't smart enough to start this without any debt and pay out of pocket and all of these things, if you weren't smart enough to do that and you took on some debt to do this, man, now you're stuck. Now you're really stuck in that E quadrant. And guys, I'm telling you all this because I have experience in this, right? I went to start a business, got into debt for that business, and it didn't work out, right? So I'm speaking from some experience, trying to give y'all some love and some game on this. It's not easy. Now, it's not because I'm not a morning person. I wake up early in the morning every day. I'm about this life, right? I'm doing this because this is something I actually care about. The other job I didn't necessarily care about, right? The other little business was kicking off. I didn't necessarily care about it. You know, I was doing that for all the wrong reasons. And maybe we'll talk about that another day. But so I fall into that category. Great learning experience, right? I took on about 40K worth of debt. I mean, we knocked it out. I mean, that's cool. I'm good at budgeting my money. I got rid of a big liability and we knocked it out, right? Now we're debt free. We can live off of half of one of our incomes, and that's great, right? We're doing great. But it's hard, okay? If you want to make a transition out of the E quadrant, I recommend transitioning to the I quadrant, okay? Because you can do both, right? You can, if you have a job that's going to, if you have a 40-hour-a-week job, you still got another 40 hours for you to bang out some work. Okay. You should be working. You shouldn't be working 8 hours a day. You should be working, 15, 16 hours a day. That's just real talk. If you want the security and the freedom that you say you do, you should be putting in the work to get it done, right? You don't have any free time, fam. That's the difference between wealthy people or rich people, whichever one you want to call them. That's the difference between a rich person and a poor person right there. What you do with your free time. If you're just sitting around doing nothing, you're broke. You're going to be poor. You're probably going to be that way for the rest of your life. It is what it is. Till you make a change, and then you start using that free time to, one, educate yourself in these other categories. Two, put what you're learning into action and go out here and actually do the things that you're learning. Okay? Real estate investing is great cash flow. You purchase a home, you fix it up, you rent it out, you make the income off of that. You turn around, get the profits from that, and buy another home. And you get the cash flow off of that. And you just rinse and repeat. Okay, it's called a BRRRR strategy. Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. Right? Get that from bigger pockets. We'll talk about that another day. Great strategy though. It works. But it's easier to get into that. It's easier to get your money and put it in stocks that are going to give you dividends to get you monthly or quarterly income from those dividends, right? Because it's all about the cash flow. It's about where this money is coming in. It's easier for you to move to a B, right? Through network marketing. Now, network marketing ain't for everybody. I've seen a lot of people successful with it, but I've seen more people unsuccessful in the fact that they either don't tap into the system and follow the proven system, or they didn't necessarily vet what network marketing company they want to get into, or I've seen them quit. Never seen anybody fail, but I've seen them quit. That's real talk, okay? And that's one of the things that I got into, right? Because I got into soccer, I was able to tap into a system. I was able to get customers and then get residual income off of those customers. That's income that puts me in a different quadrant, right? I don't necessarily know where that one is. I don't know if that's an S or an I. Maybe I don't understand the quadrants as well as I should, right? But I do know that I get residual income from the work that I put in for that, right? Investments, right? I can't really say I'm in the I quadrant just yet. This is the truth. This is why this is so dope for me, is because you get to see it happen from the beginning. You get to see nothing. And you get to get on this journey with me if you want to, and we get to make this thing happen, man. You get to see me grind it out, But I'm not necessarily getting income from the I's. I invest. That money goes somewhere and it grows, and I got money working for me. But I'm not necessarily pulling any of that out for income to pay expenses right now, because I make so much money on the E, right? And it's not that I'm just, making all the money. Maybe I'm top 15% of earners, but I get the money from the E. There's no really need for me to pull it out of the I's just yet until I'm ready to get rid of the job altogether. Here's the kicker, fam. You can stay in the E quadrant, right? If you invest properly, you get you some real estate properties, or you get you some anything that's going to bring you some cash flow to where you don't have to work for it and the money is working for you. You don't have to quit your job. You may like your job. You may be a firefighter, or you may be a lawyer, or you may be something like that. You may work with some dope people, right? And you may want to stay there. And you may want to just stay there for the benefits. Man, they got great insurance. They pay me well. But I got the financial freedom from the investments that I make. hey man, you may want to stay there. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why I say there's nothing wrong with either one of these quadrants. I just want you to understand that the S is the most difficult. Okay? So that's pretty much the end of that chapter. I kind of went on a little bit of a rant, but it's important for you to understand why you're choosing security, and then recognize that it's probably not on the left side of the quadrant like you think it is. You're not going to find it as an employee, and you're not going to find it necessarily when you're self-employed. Okay. You have to make those transitions over to the right side of the quadrant. That's where you're going to get your security. That's where you're going to get your freedom. Okay. Tap in, leave a comment below. As always, if you need help with your budgeting, because man, it's going to be the foundation of everything, hit me up. Link in the description below. Let's make it happen. I got to go to work.